Now, this exercise is about establishing basic proportions of the human face based on using just one unit, and that unit can be kind of arbitrary. You can always take whatever instrument you're using, a pencil or a brush, and use your thumb to mark off a unit and use that. On another video, I used my first finger joint as a unit of measurement. For this one, just for fun, I'm going to use a pencil. And if you have a pencil with an eraser, that's going to be something close to an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch or something like that. But that'll be a good unit of measure too. So in any case, all you're going to do is use these to set up some basic proportions of the face. Again, this doesn't apply to every face in the same way because we all have different faces. Some are wider, some are thinner, that sort of thing. But these kinds of measurements do come very close, and they're things that if students run through these exercises, they'll start to internalize these proportions and look at things which are very consistent, like the corners of the mouth being right below the center of the iris, the pupil of the eye. So we're just going to start using this as a measurement, and what we're going to do is base the proportions of the human head, the face, on a measurement of 5 by 7. And there's a reason for that we'll look at, but I'm going to go ahead and use this as a measuring device and just make a small mark here at the top, and then where my thumb is, move that down again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And some students are going to be perfectionists who really want to make everything exactly perfect. With this kind of exercise, it's not always the best way to work. It's all kind of very loose. You do these very light pencil marks. I'm using a marker so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little better. But when the students do this exercise, they should use a very light pencil mark so that they can go back and make revisions and erase and change things like that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units tall, and that's the height of the face. What we're going to do is to come down 1, 2, 3, and this dot here is going to represent basically the line of the eye. And to do that, we want to take our unit of measurement and split the difference, put it right in the middle of where that third mark is. So, well, it's actually the fourth mark, but it's 3 units down. And so I'm going to begin by making a mark on either end of my unit there, and then this sits right in the middle of this line, and then we move over again, and so this is going to be 5 units wide. So I'll come over and make a couple of more marks, and then a couple over this way. There we go. So we have 5 by 7, 7 being the height of the head. And this next part is something that the students will need to kind of work out. Basically, you want to use this to create an egg shape, which means the bottom part is going to be tapered a little bit and thinner than the top. So the top part is going to be pretty straightforwardly just an arc down from the top of the head to the widest part of the head by the temple. And then this bottom part is going to be tapering down more. And the best way I have to explain it to students is an egg shape. So there you go, there's kind of an egg shape. I need to straighten mine out, but if your students are doing this in pencil, that should be very simple. They can erase and move their line if they like, but I've moved mine a little bit, and that's fine. But it's basically an egg shape. So now this line here is going to be, and everyone kind of knows a basic eye shape. This is going to be set up now where we have these marks, and in between these 2 sets of marks outside that middle one, so this is the middle unit, and then we have 2 right here. Right below this line right here is basically going to be the top of the eye, and the 2 eyes will sit right in these 2 units here. So there's 1 unit in the middle, and the 2 eyes, this is another thing that's very consistent with the human face. There is 1 eye width apart between the 2 eyes usually. And so this is a very reliable way to place the eyes for most people. So like this. And again, I'm going to get this all marked up because I'm showing you. Another really useful measurement, if you go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have the bottom of the nose. And that'll be about the same width as this middle, as one of these units, right? So if I take my pencil again, this can be just about 1 unit wide, but it's going to vary for every individual. And that leaves this final mark here is going to be the bottom of the bottom lip. But to give us a little bit more to work with, I'm going to draw the eyes, the iris and the pupil here. And this is another thing that's very consistent. If you look right straight down below each pupil, that's going to be the width of the mouth from the corners of the mouth. So if this is the bottom lip, the line of the mouth will be about here, and then the bottom lip here. Now these look very artificial and strange when we're drawing them on something like this, but they are good guidelines. So here we have the locations of the eyes, the bottom of the nose, the bottom of the mouth, and the line of the mouth, and these are all pretty accurate. One thing that you need to add to make it, look a little more natural is just, an eyebrow for each eye, and that extends beyond the corner of the eye a little bit. And again, I'm doing this very quickly, but you get a sense of this being a fairly accurate picture of the proportions of the face. So if I take a little while and work that all out, erase, make some corrections and adjustments, then once again, I can take another piece of paper and trace these things out. And at this point, we're not trying to draw a picture of someone. That might come later, where we try to use this as a way for students to draw one another, which is always fun. But we shouldn't expect these to be realistic right off the bat. But if we trace these out and leave out our measuring marks, and again, I'm doing this very quickly, just draw over the proportions that we have, maybe give it a little bit of more natural shape to some of these things. I'm tracing right over what I drew. And this is where I end up. So again, we have 5 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and that's right at the top of the eye, and then 7 units down. And so it's basically a grid based on this 5 by 7. Again, kind of crude, very quick, but it does work. So this is an exercise, again, that you can take your students through a couple of times, have them get used to the steps, and one fun exercise one day might be to try to draw a classmate or something using these kind of proportions. It is hard to make this fit a live face that you're looking across at, especially your first time trying. But I know portrait artists who use these kind of measurements as a quick way to establish proportions, and it really does work. So that's the basic outline of how we get the proportions of the face. If you go and look up resources online, you'll find several different approaches to doing this, but they all are built on this idea that you can have consistent proportions that are pretty consistent from one face to another.